Victor Reyes pushed his cart down the dimly lit hallway of Riverton Community College, the wheels squeaking faintly against the linoleum. At 47, he was a janitor, his days measured in mops, brooms, and the steady rhythm of cleaning. The campus was quiet now, the last classes dismissed, the students gone, leaving behind a trail of crumpled coffee cups and forgotten pens. Victor didn't mind the silence. It was his time when the building became his domain, a canvas he restored with each swipe of his rag. He'd been at the college for 12 years, hired after a string of odd jobs: dishwasher, delivery driver, factory worker, none of which stuck. Janitorial work wasn't glamorous, paying $16 an hour, with benefits that barely covered his rent and his daughter's asthma meds. But it was steady. Victor liked steady. In a world that felt like it was always shifting, divorce, debt, a city changing faster than he could keep up, his job was an anchor. Tonight, he started in the science wing, a maze of labs and lecture halls. His cart was loaded: mop, bucket, spray bottles, trash bags, and a worn radio that played classic rock at low volume. As Springsteen's voice rasped about rivers and dreams, Victor emptied a trash can, the clatter of soda cans echoing in the empty room. He noticed a crumpled sketch on the floor, a pencil drawing of a tree, surprisingly detailed. He smoothed it out, tucking it into his pocket. Someone might miss it. The college was a microcosm of Riverton, a small city of 50,000 where old mills sat empty and new coffee shops sprouted like weeds. The students were a mix: kids fresh from high school, adults chasing second chances, veterans learning new trades. Victor saw them all, though they rarely saw him. He was the invisible man, the one who scrubbed their spills and polished their desks, his navy uniform blending into the background. But Victor noticed things: the girl who cried in the stairwell, the professor who left thank you notes for clean chalkboards, the kid who always forgot his backpack. He didn't pry, but he cared, quietly, in the way he swept their messes into order. Victor's shift ran from 4 p.m. to midnight, 5 days a week. He started with the high-traffic areas: lobbies, cafeterias, bathrooms. Where the day's chaos was most visible, the cafeteria was a war zone: spilled soda, half-eaten pizza, napkins ground into the floor. He swept, mopped, and wiped tables, the scent of bleach sharp in his nose. His co-worker, Marla, a chatty woman in her 50s, handled the West Wing, her laughter carrying over the hum of her vacuum. "You see the yogurt explosion in the lounge?" she called, pushing her cart past. Victor grinned. Yeah, looked like a crime scene. They worked well together, splitting tasks and sharing stories. Marla's daughter was getting married, a source of endless stress and pride. Victor listened, nodding, his own stories sparse. His daughter, Sophia, was 14, living with his ex-wife, Carla, across town. He saw Sophia every other weekend, their time filled with pizza and old movies. But she was pulling away, her world of texts and TikTok a mystery to him. He didn't talk about the divorce or the years he'd spent climbing out of debt. But Marla knew enough to give him a pat on the shoulder when he looked tired. After the cafeteria, Victor moved to the lecture halls, dusting whiteboards and straightening chairs. In room 204, he found a sticky note stuck to a desk. "You got this, Jay." He left it there, imagining it was for a student facing a tough exam. Small things like that kept him going, the traces of hope and struggle left behind, proof that his work touched lives, even if they didn't know it. The bathrooms were the worst, especially the men's room near the gym. Graffiti marred the stalls. Toilet paper littered the floor, and the sinks were smeared with soap. Victor scrubbed, his gloves slick, humming to drown out the smell. He'd learned early not to take it personally. People were messy, always would be. His job was to reset the stage, to make the space ready for the next day's dramas. Victor's world wasn't just trash and tiles. It was people, fleeting but real. One evening, he was cleaning the art studio when a student, a lanky kid named Jamal with paint-splattered jeans, lingered at an easel. "You don't have to rush," Victor said, emptying a can of brushes. "I'll work around you." Jamal looked up, surprised. "Thanks, man. Just finishing this for class. It's a mess, but I'm trying." Victor glanced at the canvas, a vibrant swirl of blues and reds. Chaotic, but alive. "Looks good to me. You got a story in there." Jamal smiled, shy but pleased. "It's my mom's garden. She's gone now, but yeah, this is her." Victor nodded, thinking of his own mom, who'd passed when he was 20. "Keep at it. She'd like that." He moved to the next room, leaving Jamal to his work, the sketch from earlier still in his pocket. Later, he taped it to the studio's bulletin board, hoping its owner would find it. Another night, he met Professor Linden, a gray-haired biology teacher who stayed late grading papers. She was in her office, surrounded by plant diagrams, when Victor knocked to empty her trash. "You're here late again," he said, tying the bag. She sighed, rubbing her eyes. "Exams. These kids are brilliant, but they don't sleep. Neither do I." Victor chuckled. "Sounds like my daughter, up all night on her phone." Lyndon smiled, pulling a candy bar from her drawer. "For your trouble," she said, tossing it to him. "And tell your daughter to get some rest." He pocketed the candy, warmed by the gesture. Lyndon always asked about Sophia, remembered his stories. It wasn't much, but it made him feel seen, not just a shadow in a uniform. The students, though, were his quiet joy. There was Anna, a nursing student who left origami cranes on desks, one of which Victor kept in his locker, or Malik, a vet taking welding classes, who'd fist bump Victor and call him the real MVP. They didn't know his life, his divorce, his late-night worries about Sophia's asthma, but they trusted him with their small messes, and that was enough. Not every day was kind. The job took a toll. His knees ached from crouching, his hands cracked from chemicals, and the late hours left him drained. Some nights, he'd sit in his truck after his shift, the engine off, staring at the stars through a streaked windshield. He'd think about Carla, who'd left because he was married to the job, and Sophia, who barely talked about her day anymore. He'd think about his dad, a janitor too, who'd died at 60, his body worn out from years of scrubbing floors. Was this all there was? Money was tight, always. Sophia's meds cost $200 a month, and Carla's new husband didn't help. Victor picked up extra shifts when he could, cleaning the gym after basketball games or the library during finals. The overtime paid, but it meant missing Sophia's school play, a guilt that gnawed at him. He sent her a text, "Sorry, mija, I'll make it up to you," and got a thumbs-up emoji, which felt like a knife. The college wasn't perfect either. Budget cuts meant fewer supplies. Victor sometimes bought his own trash bags when the stock ran low. The head custodian, Ron, was a stickler, docking pay for missed spots, though Victor's work was meticulous, and some students were careless, spitting gum on floors, carving names into desks, making his nights longer. He didn't judge them, but he felt the weight, the endless cycle of cleaning, what would be dirtied again. One winter night, the boiler broke, flooding the basement with icy water. Victor and Marla worked until 3 a.m., mopping and hauling soaked boxes, their boots squelching. "This job's gonna kill me," Marla muttered, wringing out a rag. Victor laughed, though he felt it too. "Gotta keep the lights on, right?" She nodded, tossing him a towel. "You're a good one, Vic. Don't let this place grind you down." Change came slowly, sparked by small moments. One evening, Victor found a wallet in the cafeteria, stuffed with $80 and a student ID. It belonged to Anna, the origami girl. He could have pocketed the cash. No one would know. But he didn't. He left it with the campus security desk, a note taped to it. Found in cafeteria. Victor. The next night, Anna was waiting by his cart, her dark eyes bright. "You found my wallet," she said, holding out a paper crane, this one blue. "I thought it was gone." "Thank you," Victor took the crane, his throat tight. "Just doing my job." "It's more than that," she said, smiling. "You're like the keeper of this place." The word stuck with him. Keeper. Not just a cleaner, but someone who held the space together, who made it safe for others to learn, to grow. He taped the crane to his cart, a small talisman against the grind. Another shift brought a different kind of connection. Jamal, the art student, was in the studio again, struggling with a sculpture. Victor, sweeping nearby, noticed his frustration. "Rough night?" he asked, leaning on his broom. Jamal sighed, poking at a lump of clay. "This is garbage. I'm supposed to show it tomorrow, but it's not right." Victor studied the piece. A figure half-formed, reaching upward. "Looks like it's trying to be something. Maybe give it time." Jamal raised an eyebrow, then laughed. "You an art critic now?" "Nah," Victor said, grinning. "Just seen a lot of messes turn into something good." The kid nodded, his hands moving again, shaping the clay. Victor finished his sweep, but the next week, Jamal showed him the finished sculpture. A woman, arms outstretched, full of life. "You were right," Jamal said. "Thanks for the pep talk." Victor shrugged, but inside, he felt a spark. His work wasn't just mopping, it was being there, a steady presence in a chaotic world. The college wasn't Victor's only anchor. Riverton was too. He lived in a working-class neighborhood where kids played in the street and neighbors shared barbecue on weekends. His landlord, Mr. Chen, a retired mechanic, would sit on the stoop, offering Victor a beer and stories of fixing cars in the 70s. "You work hard," Chen said once, clinking bottles. "That's real." Victor's church was another haven, a small congregation where he sang in the choir, his baritone blending with the organ. After services, they'd eat potluck, tamales, fried chicken, lumpia, and talk about life. When Sophia's asthma flared, the pastor's wife dropped off a casserole. No questions asked. It was Riverton's way. You showed up for each other, no matter how tired you were. Sophia was Victor's heart, even when she was distant. One weekend, he took her to the diner, their old ritual. She was quieter now, her earbuds a barrier. But when he asked about school, she opened up about an art project. "It's a collage," she said, her eyes lighting up, "like memories and stuff." Victor thought of the sketch he'd found, the cranes, Jamal's sculpture. "You should show me when it's done," he said. "Bet it's amazing." She smiled. "A rare gift." "Maybe, if it's not embarrassing." He drove her home, the radio playing Springsteen, and felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he wasn't losing her, just learning to meet her where she was. Spring brought change to the college. A new building opened, a library, all glass and steel, and Victor's team was tasked with keeping it spotless. The work was harder, the floors gleaming, but prone to streaks. But Victor took pride in it. He started noticing more. Students thanking him, professors slipping him cookies, a mural in the lobby listing the staff, his name among them, Victor Reyes, Custodial Services. One night, he found a note on his cart, written in neat cursive, "Thank you for making this place feel like home. Anna." He folded it carefully, tucking it with the crane. Later, he saw Jamal's sculpture displayed in the art wing, a plaque reading, "Dedicated to the unsung heroes of RCC." Victor's chest tightened, not with pride, but with something deeper, a sense of belonging. He started small changes. He saved for a community college course, maybe business, something to challenge him. He took Sophia to an art gallery, her excitement sparking ideas for her collage. He invited Marla and her husband to dinner, a thank you for her friendship. The job didn't change. Same floors, same trash. But Victor did. He wasn't invisible, not to the people who mattered. One evening, as he polished a hallway, the radio playing low, he thought of his dad. "You make things right," he'd said once, mopping a factory floor. Victor hadn't understood then, but he did now. His work wasn't just cleaning. It was care, a quiet act of keeping the world turning. He was a janitor, yes, but also a keeper, a builder of moments, a man who showed up. He pushed his cart forward, the wheels squeaking, the college alive with the ghosts of 1,000 small lives. Victor smiled, ready for the next mess, the next day, the next chance to make it right.